You're listening to WeAreSTS, a podcast from the Department of Science and Technology Studies at University College London. Hi everybody, and welcome to WeAreSTS, and welcome to UCL. I'm your host, Professor Joe Kane. Did you know that children are targeted by influencers and advertisers who promote anti-aging products? Skin creams, anti-wrinkle tools, even Baby-Botox. Yep, you heard that right. Anti-aging, marketed to kids. Well, it's no joke. This episode is a report from the STSNewsRoom. Maddie Ross investigates how that wild west of social media influencers and algorithms, they amplify anti-aging anxiety to ever-increasing levels. At the same time, industry advertising markets solutions to ever younger people. And no prize for guessing that most of this gets targeted specifically at young girls. What is going on here? Maddie identifies concerns over risks that are physical, psychological, and social. Are young people, children, being exploited here without us even noticing? Maddie says yes. Worse, the tech platforms, the influencer business, the amount of cash swirling around, all that contrasts with the lack of serious conversation, the poor regulation, and virtually no consumer protection. And with growing evidence for hidden costs and runaway risks, this is a problem just waiting to explode. You're really gonna like what Maddie has done here. Best for me just to pass the microphone over to her, and I'll see you on the other side.
Anti-aging isn't new. There has been a historic and long obsession with youthfulness. Stories of a fountain of eternal youth have captured our imaginations for thousands of years, even appearing in the writings of Herodotus in ancient Greece. People are obsessed with looking younger, and whether you're aware of it or not, all of you listening are consuming anti-aging content all of the time. Think of the classic magazine spreads of a new miracle cream, maybe a poster of a new anti-wrinkle injection. Or maybe you've overheard conversations where people say how someone looks so good for their age. This isn't new. Except, while these ideas are old, anti-aging consumers are getting younger. On Instagram, the hashtag anti-aging has nearly 17 million posts, and there are over 800,000 videos on TikTok with the hashtag anti-aging. Maybe it's an advert for a cream, or an influencer using a skincare product with aesthetic, colourful packaging. You only have to scroll online for a bit before coming across a video promoting preventative anti-aging tips, what I do to look 20 at 30, or videos promoting Baby-Botox. I was alarmed recently when I saw stories of children as young as 8 buying strong retinol creams, usually marketed as anti-wrinkle products. The more I dug into this anti-aging content online, the more I found a worrying trend. Historically, muscle relaxant toxin injections, such as Botox, are usually marketed at people, usually women, maybe in their 40s or above. However, more and more women in their early 20s are now choosing to undergo these procedures, labelled as preventative or baby Botox. So what is going on here? Is social media promoting this trend? And critically, why is anti-aging getting younger and younger? And am I right to be worried about it?
Hey beauties, here are my tips on how to look youthful into your 30s. This video has been so heavily requested on my channel. I'm 30 years old, but I really haven't aged since I was about 20.
Best anti-aging secret for my young clients doing microneedling treatments regularly.
If you don't want wrinkly lips like this is what you have to do.
To microneedle cause micro injury to the skin.
Potential to have you develop early fine lines and wrinkles around your mouth.
Well, it's been argued that social media is largely to blame. The constant bombardment of images and videos of what social media is determining as beauty can lead to what's known as perceptual adaptation. This is where very minor experiences or minutes of exposure can affect what we perceive as normal and attractive. It's no wonder then that it's been proven that social media affects self-esteem and thus the desire for these treatments. A 2019 study specifically on younger women, 18 to 29 years old, found that viewing images of females who had undergone cosmetic surgery increased their desire for such surgery, especially if they spent a lot of time on social media. As social media is predominantly used by younger generations, it's no wonder that this wave of beauty standard content is affecting them now more than ever. Influencers seem to be playing a specific role here too. A 2019 study found that social media influencers can create a desire to mimic them, citing the consumer's doppelganger effect, in which the consumer consciously tries to mimic the influencer. And we know that children's consumption decisions are particularly vulnerable to being shaped by influencer content through their tendency for social learning in which they model behaviour. In fact, a 2019 study found that this parasocial relationship was significantly positively correlated with purchase intentions of brands promoted by influencers. Influencers are also perceived as peer-like, meaning consumers are less likely to believe that there's any commercial interest in what they are filming. And thus, it makes sense that a review in 2019 found that children and their parents may be less resistant to any advertising. So why is this content getting promoted so much? I spoke to Dr. Shaughnessy, a researcher on young people and social media, about what is going on. In your research into social media, have you noticed an increase of this kind of beauty image content, specifically anti-aging content, being shown to younger audiences?
Well, so our research focused quite specifically on misogyny as a case study. But what we really found was that the patterns that we saw in terms of the way that social media, and particularly the algorithms, quite quickly understand who you are and what you're interested in. And then they start feeding you more and more extreme content on that particular topic. So something that might start out as kind of quite a niche interest, but not too problematic. They want you to continue to engage with that topic. They will start sending you more and more things that get more and more radical in a way. So from what we saw in terms of online misogyny, this was very much started out as kind of borderline, and that it kind of got more and more violent. And that really does match over to other topics as well. So we talk about misogyny when we're thinking about body dysmorphia. It's very much the same kind of thing. And people start engaging in content about kind of fashion or potentially dieting or looks, and then it gradually gets more and more extreme. And you can map that across kind of lots of different topics. We saw in particular with younger age groups who don't maybe have so much digital literacy to understand and be critical about what they're seeing, that these more problematic topics about, as you said, using kind of quite aggressive skincare, they don't necessarily have the skills or the education at those very young ages to be aware of the harm that those kind of ideas are presenting to them.
Do you think there should be more limits on how the algorithm is promoting this kind of content and like to curtail it, kind of the trend on social media?
Yeah, it's a really tricky question. Particularly we focused on TikTok, and one of the problems is that they don't really have that much control themselves over what the algorithm is promoting. That as they kind of explain, the algorithm says, you like A, you like B, therefore you might like C. And that could be you like a cat video, you like a dog video, so here's an elephant video. Or it could be, oh, you like, you're interested in the gym and kind of pickup lines, so here's a kind of a misogynistic product. Or as you were saying, kind of the problems around promoting harm to children online. Look, the social media companies have a responsibility to protect their users. We know that they make obscene amounts of profit. So there is definitely more that can be done here. At the moment, I think there are some, the kind of limitations are about the amount of the amount of community guidance that they have, and the ability to kind of track what's being put up on the platform. However, we know that they can limit these things when they want to. You only have to look at where TikTok originated in China and the things that aren't allowed on the platform over there in the Chinese equivalent, and then they can limit these things when they want to.
Do you have any maybe advice to parents who are worried about the content that their children are watching, what they could do?
Yeah, so we recently started looking at kind of wider digital literacy guidance and really educating parents as well as young people about algorithms and their impact. And one of the kind of key things that we found is really having open conversations with your child about, firstly, their approaches to what they're seeing online, how does it make them feel, encouraging them to be a little bit self-reflective about that, but also being aware of yourself, of the kind of things that young people might be consuming, not taking necessarily an entirely restrictive view, because that will just cause them to try and find it in ways that they're then not going to communicate about it with you. So to really have those open conversations and encourage them to kind of think a little bit more critically about what they're seeing, rather than just kind of shutting down the conversation altogether, is really the positive way to go. We're looking into and kind of exploring with young people the concept of a digital diet. So in the same way we think about food, in the way that you could have a lot of veg and some kind of on your food plate, you have those things that are really good for you, and you have things that you should maybe have in moderation, like crisps or chocolate and sweets. And in the same way, when you think about your digital consumption, there's plenty of like online activity that's really good for you, and that can be your veg and your water and your carbohydrates. But maybe that there are types of things like passive scrolling through TikTok or kind of getting deep into a hole on anti-aging that maybe you should treat a little bit like sweets or chocolate, that you only do it for short amounts of time, and you kind of are aware of the fact that it's not totally healthy for you.
So it seems social media algorithms promoting more and more extreme content is playing a role. But is the problem really that bad? Why should we be cautious of children subscribing to anti-aging ideas? Well, BBC News recently reported children as young as 8 buying strong anti-aging skincare that is not only certainly not needed, but potentially harmful to young skin. Brands such as Drunk Elephant with colourful packaging have taken off in this demographic. There are thousands of videos online of children using these products, as well as videos of adults using them without labelling them as not suitable for children. This is problematic for a few reasons. First of all, these products contain strong active ingredients not suitable for a child's skin, such as the powerful chemical exfoliant retinol cream. Retinol cream, when used by children, can damage their skin barrier, causing long-term skin problems, including skin sensitivity or eczema. Second of all, these aren't just drugstore products that these kids are buying. Drunk Elephant bestsellers cost around £60 each. There's certainly something to be said about the ethics of products that are not only harmful to children, but also way out of a 10-year-old's price range. It's no wonder brands capitalise on young people's desire to fit in and follow trends online. It's not just children being affected by this new wave of anti-aging products. Traditionally a treatment used by older people for the elimination of wrinkles, muscle relaxant toxin injections, such as Botox, have increased 28% since 2010 in the 20 to 29-year-old age group. Injections for this age group are increasingly being labelled as preventative treatments or Baby-Botox. Botulinum toxin, more commonly known as Botox, works by inhibiting neurotransmitter release by cleaving a receptor terminal membrane in muscle fibres. As a result, the muscle fibres are paralysed and wrinkles are smoothed. So should we be worried? Well, firstly, an important point to mention is the price. Not only are injections such as Botox expensive, around £100 to £350 for each treatment, if people are starting younger, this would rack up if an individual continues the treatment over the course of their lifetime, as each treatment only lasts for a few months. Sociologically, this raises an interesting point about the price women pay in society to feel valued. We simply don't see the same numbers of men choosing these procedures. To find out more about the effects and risks of Botox, I spoke to Professor Mosahebi, a professor at UCL and a consultant plastic surgeon. As he is a working surgeon, I met him at Royal Free Hospital in the surgeon break room, so there may be some hospital noise in the background. So in recent years, have you noticed a growth in younger consumers of muscle relaxant toxins?
Yes, it's become more and more common with younger people wanting toxins, and I think they put it down as preventative treatment, but in many ways that potentially is a misnomer, because I think that can happen in any way, depending on their genetics, on the skin qualities, etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely happening more.
On preventive Botox, I've come across a lot of clinics offering that specifically. What specifically is that, and would you recommend it? Is it a bit of a gimmick?
So what the idea is that the toxins paralyze the muscle and stop it from causing a crease in wherever, for example, in your frown line. As the time passes by, more and more activity there can cause creasing of the skin. So that's the sort of the idea behind it. We don't have a great deal of evidence whether that is going to be true or not. I don't recommend it, but as you can see in the media, it's happening. But we don't have enough evidence that it's really going to be the case.
In terms of prolonged use of Botox, since consumers are starting younger and younger, is it something maybe we should be concerned about? Is there research into the long-term effects of using these toxins?
There is some research into, I'll say, medium length rather than long term. And we know some toxins produce more antibodies towards toxins, which means that the effect will become less effective, I guess. One thing that people do is to change brands from one brand to another, so a different profile, and also reduce the amounts they're giving it. So that can help reduce that issues.
In general, are there any sort of risks associated with getting toxins, maybe on the more short term?
Well, the risks are that if done badly by poorly qualified people, it can cause side effects. It can cause drooping of the eye, for example, and bruising and swelling, and so the shape of your face can be distorted for a while. From a medium to long term, we don't necessarily have a long experience about it, but we know again that developing antibodies and reducing the effectiveness of it can cause issues.
Specifically on unlicensed practitioners, is that there's been an increase, I think, in that happening. What sort of regulation is there around being a practitioner of the toxins, and do you think there should be more regulation around who can do them?
But toxins themselves are a prescription medicine, so it has to be somebody who prescribes it. Fillers, on the other hand, is something very different and much harder to police in a way. But yes, I mean, the problem is that there are many clinics who have poorly qualified practitioners getting somebody else to do the prescription for them, so they're getting it, or they're getting it online somewhere. And the worst situation is if you're getting it from not a well supplied manufacturers. You have toxins who are made, say, for example, in China. Not necessarily all of them are bad, but it means that they're poorly regulated and they're not having this appropriate regulations for a medicine. So unlicensed always means that the product's going to be potentially not good either. But that's what they do. It's quite a lot cheaper, and that's why a lot of people get attracted by the heavy advertising and the cost of it.
To finish then, do you think we should be worried by this increase in younger consumers, or is it just something that's happening?
I think we should do podcasts like you, educate people that what it's about. For the right reason, toxins are amazing, they work really well, but to give this idea that you're going to stay young forever by having this, I think it's a misnomer and kind of mis-selling.
It seems procedures labelled as Baby-Botox or preventative Botox are just a way to increase toxins injections' appeal to younger consumers. And also that there is a worrying lack of research into the effects of long-term use of toxin injections. This is only part of a larger worrying trend online of women in their 20s terrified of aging. I say terrified, as I found many videos teaching women how to train themselves to not move their facial muscles in order to not create wrinkles, that is, to avoid smiling or frowning. I even saw videos telling young women to buy different straws to avoid pursing their lips. Do we really want to start a precedent of women being told to restrain themselves from laughing too hard in the name of beauty? There's also been recent research into the way toxin injections can inhibit one's ability to read and process emotions. Research shows that a large part of our ability to perceive specific emotion-based facial changes is influenced by one's ability to perform those same facial actions. As Botox paralyzes facial muscles, it makes sense that it would then affect one's ability to read facial expressions. And in fact, a 2019 study found that those injected with Botox affecting frown lines associated with anger were slower than a control group not injected at detecting anger expressions, meaning Botox may have the ability to decrease not only your ability to make facial expressions, but to read others' expressions. So I believe we should be concerned about this trend. Firstly, children shouldn't be buying or feel the need to buy anti-aging products, and this is perpetuated by social media algorithms and irresponsible influencers. As Dr. Caitlin Shaughnessy said, we need to encourage children to be mindful of the content they are viewing online and to have open and honest conversations about social media. But I would extend this social media mindfulness to adults too. As women, we are already being told the way we look isn't good enough. So, before you buy that anti-wrinkle drinking straw or drop £300 on Baby-Botox, I would urge you to think about how someone is likely financially benefiting from telling you that you need this product or treatment. Preventative or Baby-Botox is just Botox, but marketed to young people. It didn't exist as a treatment until practitioners realized they had a whole demographic untapped. So we should be wary about this rise in younger consumers of anti-aging products and treatments. But it's only part of a larger problem of the beauty industry exploiting people's insecurities for money. The only thing that's new is that they've started on children and young people. So reject this ideology. You don't have to subscribe to their ideas. Being aware of what is going on behind these videos is the first step, and life is too short to spend it worrying about looking young.
Well, what did I tell you? Fabulous work, Maddie. Strong, critical, well-researched, makes an important point. What I picked up here was that you said social media in some parts of the world, they just block this sort of targeting of kids, and the tech companies cooperate with them there. So how come they can't do that here? I mean, that seems to me a political problem and not a technical problem. This is a great STS Newsroom project. You know, each year the department offers paid internships to a group of students interested in developing their skills in journalism. If you know someone interested in the things we do here in STS, just ask them to get in touch. Maybe it's to explore stories like this one. Or maybe they're interested in how we govern new technologies in general. Or maybe, just maybe, they're interested in history of science and culture. Stuff like I do. These all fit under the umbrella of Science and Technology Studies, or STS. We are a thriving community here at UCL, and there's always room for more. Music today included Rollin at 5 by Kevin MacLeod. It's available online at filmmusic.io. WeAreSTS is a production of the Department of Science and Technology Studies at University College London. If you want to find out more about the show, listen to past episodes, or give us some feedback, just visit us online. Here's the address. It's ucl.ac.uk/STS/podcast. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. We'll have another episode ready soon. Until then, just remember, there's knowledge to be found just about everywhere, and that together, we are STS. Bye now. You've been listening to We Are STS, a podcast from the Department of Science and Technology Studies at University College London. Subscribe to the show and join us online. The address, ucl.ac.uk/STS/podcast.